You know you need to sleep. You have known for 2 hours. Your eyes are dry. Your concentration collapsed sometime around 9 p.m. and hasn't come back. You have read the same paragraph 3 times without retaining a word. Every signal your body can send is sending the same message. It is time to stop. And yet, here you are, still on the couch, still scrolling, still watching one more episode of something you're not even fully paying attention to, still finding reasons, small, unconvincing reasons, to push the moment of sleep a little further down the night. This is not laziness. It is not poor discipline. It is not a character flaw you need to work on or a habit you need to break with sufficient willpower. What is happening to you in those hours has a name, a documented psychological mechanism, and a cause that has nothing to do with how much self-control you have. It has to do with how little of the day was actually yours. In 2020, a phrase that had been circulating in Chinese internet culture crossed into English and went quietly viral across social media platforms worldwide. The phrase was revenge bedtime procrastination. The practice of staying up late as a form of compensation for a day in which personal time felt absent or insufficient. The word revenge was the key. Not just procrastination, but revenge. The sense that something had been taken from the day and the night was the only available opportunity to take it back. The speed with which the phrase spread across languages and cultures was not a coincidence. It named something that millions of people had been doing without a framework to understand it. The language to describe it arrived in 2020, and people recognized it immediately. Researchers had been studying the underlying mechanism for longer than that. In self-determination theory, one of the most empirically supported frameworks in motivational psychology, human beings have 3 fundamental psychological needs that must be met for well-being: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Autonomy is the need to feel that your actions are self-chosen, that your time is yours, that the direction of your day reflects your own values and preferences rather than the demands of external forces. When autonomy is chronically unsatisfied, the psychological system does not simply accept the deficit and move on. It looks for opportunities to recover what was lost. A modern workday is, for most people, a sustained exercise in autonomy deprivation. The schedule is set by someone else. The tasks are set by someone else. The pace, the location, the acceptable modes of behavior, the hours during which you are expected to be available and responsive. All of it is structured around external requirements. For 8, 10, 12 hours, the answer to the question, "What do I want to do right now?" is functionally irrelevant. What matters is what needs to be done. By the time the workday ends, the autonomy deficit has been accumulating for hours, and when the workday ends, the obligations don't. Dinner, children, the maintenance requirements of a life that doesn't pause for you. The moment those demands end, the moment the house is quiet, the obligations are discharged, and no one is waiting for anything from you, is often the first genuinely free moment of the entire day. That moment happens to be the moment you were supposed to be going to sleep. There is a second mechanism running underneath the first, and it makes the situation worse. The psychological concept of ego depletion, developed by Roy Baumeister and colleagues, describes the observation that self-regulatory capacity is a limited resource that depletes across the course of a day. Every act of self-control, every decision made under constraint, every moment of suppressing what you wanted to do in favor of what you were supposed to do draws from the same finite reserve. By the end of a long, high-demand day, the capacity for self-regulation is at its lowest point. This is the same moment the autonomy need is at its highest point. The drive to reclaim personal time is strongest precisely when the ability to resist acting on it is weakest. The conditions that make bedtime procrastination most likely are the exact conditions that a demanding modern day reliably produces every single night. It is not a failure of character that produces this pattern. It is the predictable output of 2 psychological systems. one running low, one running high, arriving at the same moment and pointing in the same direction. Stay up. This is yours. You've earned it. The content that fills those hours is almost beside the point. Most people who engage in revenge bedtime procrastination are not doing something they particularly love. They are not pursuing a passion or engaging deeply with something meaningful. They are scrolling without focus, watching without full attention, moving from one piece of content to the next in a way that feels more like restless occupation than genuine enjoyment. Ask them the next morning if it was worth it, and they will usually say no. The behavior is not about the content. It is about the time. The 2 hours of fragmented, distracted, low-quality leisure are not valuable because of what happens during them. They are valuable because they exist, because they are not structured by anyone else's requirements, because no one is waiting for anything, because the decision about what to do next, however minor, belongs entirely to the person making it. The nervous system does not evaluate those hours by their productivity or their pleasure. It evaluates them by their ownership. Understanding this does not automatically solve the problem. The autonomy need is real, and the conditions that produce it are structural. But it changes the framing. The question is not, why can't I just go to sleep when I'm tired? A question that implies a failure requiring correction. The question is, what would need to be true about my day for the end of it not to feel like the only moment that belongs to me? A question that points toward the actual problem. Small recoveries of autonomy distributed across the day. A genuine break that is not interrupted, a lunch hour that is actually taken, 15 minutes of something unchosen by obligation, can reduce the size of the deficit that arrives at midnight. Not eliminate it, reduce it. The nervous system is keeping a running tally. It responds to deposits as well as withdrawals. You are not undisciplined. You are not self-destructive. You are a person who spent 12 hours doing what everyone else needed, and your nervous system is refusing to end the day until it gets something that was yours. Wanting it is not the problem. The problem is that the only time it exists is the time you were supposed to be asleep.